Let's take it straight to Abhizar Divanji, who's the founder of New Start Advisors, for more insights into this. How do you read this particular development, Abhizar? Everybody, and I also know that some of the doyens of the industry were also involved in trying to resolve the matter between the two factions. Clearly, they have failed at this particular point. How do you read into this situation?
No, first, I think, Anisha, one has to look at whether this is a trust issue or a Tata Sons issue. Very clearly, we are talking about the Tata Trust issue. This has nothing to do with Tata Sons or its governance. Point number one. Point number two, from a trust perspective, I think if it was documented and resolved at the trust level, that the trusts have to be unanimously appointed, then there was, I think, a reasonable situation to say that this would get litigated. But if it is not being passed in the trust accounts, then clearly the earlier voting system would apply, and which may have panned out today. So ideally, can a charity commissioner come in and step in? Yes. I am not sure whether a charity commissioner can do justice for something like Tata Trusts, which very frankly has been operating extremely well except for the current rift. My larger issue is that everybody here is concerned only with the controlling of Tata Sons rather than the charitable implications of the trust. And I think if the trustees were to focus only on the charitable issues of the trust, then it may not remain such a lucrative position, in my opinion.
Right. So from here, where does it go, Abhizar? As you said, that the commissioner is not going to do justice. Now, the trust has a lot of power, and the nominees are the ones who are also taking decision on behalf of the large shareholders of Tata Sons on the board of Tata Sons. Where does it really put the mechanisms of Tata Sons, which is a large conglomerate?
So Tata, as I said earlier, Tata Sons is being run independently with the nominees of Tata Trust on the Tata Sons board. That remains unaffected. This issue is only about appointing trustees on Tata Trust. So I don't think this in any way impacts Tata Sons or its governance or its working. But yes, the strife that happens in the largest shareholder will somehow spill in, as I said, because most trustees are focused on issues relating to Tata Sons and how they play a role in it. So yes, will there be some level of strife? There could be, but I hope not, because Tata Sons as well as the respective Tata companies are very well governed.
Right. Let's also take a view from Sriram Subramanian, MD and founder of InGovern. Sriram, how do you read into this particular development where Tata Trusts has a rift which has widened? Their workings also has an impact on Tata Sons by way of the large shareholding that they have in Tata Sons, and therefore the trust also has powers of various kinds on the strategy as well as the developments at Tata Sons. How do you see this, and from the governance aspect, how do you read into this?
Good afternoon. I think the rift, if Mehli Mistry is now not reappointed, definitely 3:3 on the boards of the trustees at the Tata Trust would definitely impact strategic decisions at Tata Sons, because Tata Trust has a veto vote on key decisions at Tata Sons. So on a day-to-day basis, Tata Sons is unlikely to be disrupted, but in strategic decisions, there could be disruptions, because Tata Trust needs to vote with a veto vote. If Tata Trust itself abstains or doesn't have a split, then definitely the decisions at Tata Sons will just hang in the limbo.
Sriram, Nisha and I were just discussing this important aspect right now, because initially the Sir Dorabji Tata Trust deed that was drafted back in 1932, that actually stated that the decision of a majority of the trustees present at a meeting shall bind the minority. Then in 2023, a resolution was passed shortly after Ratan Tata passed away, and it promised life trusteeship to all trustees once their tenures were renewed. And that clause now actually raises questions about procedure and interpretation over here as well. Because Ms. Mehli Mistry conditionally approved the reappointment of Venu Srinivasan as trustee and vice chairman of the Sir Dorabji Tata Trust, and he stated that reciprocity should apply, meaning that all trustees should receive identical renewals. If this is the kind of conversations and clauses and, you know, configurations, I would say, are present, what happens now, you know, once it goes to court as well?
No, firstly, when there is a voting, be it at the board or by shareholders, there is no concept of conditional voting. So from that perspective, Mehli Mistry, if he has voted for the reappointment of Venu Srinivasan, that is a for vote. I mean, there are conditions he may have attached, but that is not legally binding. So any court of law is likely to throw it out. Secondly, the fact that these changes came about after the demise of Ratan Tata, and the fact that this life membership of trustees, etc., those are things I think are not for good governance. In fact, one can still fault Ratan Tata for not having ensured a smooth transition. See, that is the entire aspect of succession planning, right? When one leaves the world, do you have a smooth transition? And in fact, it goes back to Ratan Tata, who was like a father figure to everybody. That's where one needs to oppose the concept of father figures in various business groups and a dominant personality.
Sriram, very well made that point. Abizar, to you then the question about succession and what happens next if the Tata Trust fight really continues. How is it going to function in the interim? How do you foresee this?
So I think in the interim, first of all, I think there is a lot more interest in that of the charity commissioner. There is also the government involved. And I think in the interim, the functioning would be smooth even if it is contested. I don't think there will be too much of a disruption because there's too much at stake for everybody to do. So I do not think any major decisions will be found lacking. Because you look at things at stake. I mean, for example, not providing Shapurji an exit. I think it's a national issue with such a huge amount of debt repayment not happening on time. Could create issues for India as a sovereign. So I think the Tata Group in more ways than one actually has a lot more implications. And simply because of those implications, I don't think there will be big disruptions in management.
You know, one question I have with, have for you over here is, do you think there's a possibility that Mistry could retract his approval or even his consent or contest probably the decision that, you know, he gave in with regards to renewal of Venu? Now, because he gave that in October, on October 21, is there a possibility of a retraction on that front?
It will sound like a quid pro quo, so I don't think that would be appropriate even on Mr. Mistry's part. So I do think that he will fight out in terms of the permanent appointment resolutions that were passed earlier. I think that or commitment that was given earlier, and that could be a basis on which he could fight, but not on a quid pro quo basis to say I withdraw an approval because mine is a mistake.
Abizar, you're right in pointing that out. This is a very technical legal matter, and the point of contention over here, as I understand, after speaking to several sources, is that if the resolution stated that there is a permanent position for these trustees as life trustees as and when their renewal comes, that is going to be questioned and contested by Mehli Mistry. So by way of that, if Venu got renewal, if he didn't get, then it would be contested. But he also gave the consent for Venu based on this particular resolution of October 2024. All right, Abizar as well as Sriram, thanks so much for joining us with this particular aspect. We'll need to see how this fight really, takes it forward. But the legal aspect over here, will be a very important aspect to watch out for. But the fact remains that this particular fight will continue and the trust will not be able to function amicably, and that will also open it for other measures, and other participants like government has intervened, and now charity commissioner can also be asked to intervene. So these are the aspects which are going to be very important.